I was faced with a choice which I never should have had.
She was crying like I had never heard a woman cry before in my life.
And I just cried for weeks and weeks. Everything reminded me of a baby.
And I kept trying to get up from the table and look to see what was in that jar.
I was dealing with the loss of my unborn child and I didn't even know it.
I believe that my life was spared that night just so that I could be here right now and say abortion hurts women.
Whisper, be silent no more.
Welcome to Faces of Abortion. I'm your host, Cindy Collins, and today we're going to be watching the first of a three-part documentary, Life After Abortion. Both Molly White, one of your co-hosts, and myself are on this, as well as some of the women of Operation Outcry. It's a powerful documentary that shows the stories of abortion, the pain of abortion, and hope and healing afterward. Now let's watch Life After Abortion.
This was around 1980, and feminism was at its height, and I began to become very involved in this movement because I actually liked their message that women had control over their body. They could do with their body whatever they wanted, because I felt like I never had control over anything, least of all my body, because what had happened to me, that this message really spoke to me.
I looked her straight in the eye and I said, "Daphne, I killed my baby." See, we were raging feminists at the time, so for me to say something like that to her just blew her away. And she said, "No, Rhonda, what are you talking about? That's not what you did. You can choose when you're going to be a mother. It's your body. It's your choice."
I sold abortions. I made $25 for each abortion. Now that doesn't sound like a lot of money, but the last month we did 545 abortions, which means my last month's income was $13,625. But I wanted to be a millionaire, and I knew how to do that. Math. 40,000 abortions a year would provide $1 million of income for me. We wanted 3 to 5 abortions from every girl between the ages of 13 and 18. We went into the schools with sex education programs that we knew would increase the sexual activity and therefore the pregnancy rate. Our goals were simple. Get the children to laugh about their parents and their values because they were so embarrassed they would not go home and tell their parents what we talked about. We became the sexual experts in their life. We asked the girls to come in for well woman exams. Come to us. We'll help you be safe from getting pregnant. And sadly, that was a lie because we prescribed a low-dose birth control pill we knew the girls would get pregnant on. We prescribed a pill that in order to provide any level of protection had to be taken accurately at the same time every single day, for we knew one thing about teenagers: they don't do anything at the same time every day. And when she got pregnant, or feared she was pregnant, what would she do? She would call us. We were the sexual experts. We were the ones with the card, free pregnancy tests, licensed counselors. And she called that number not recognizing we only sold one product.
And I had met the boy of my dreams and thought I was in love. And I remember him telling me he wanted to have sex. And he said, "If you love me, you'll do this." And so I did. We had sex. I was 14 years old. As the summer went on, I remember getting very sick. I was throwing up a lot, couldn't hold down water. I fainted a couple of times. And my mother decided to take me to the doctor. The doctor was asking me a lot of questions, and one of the questions was, "Could you be pregnant?" And I said, No, I'm not pregnant. My dad was standing right by the phone when it rang, and when he picked it up, his face went very stone cold. He left and he was gone about 10 minutes. I can still see it in my mind. And when he walked in, he called me into the living room and he said, "Ava, you're pregnant. I would whip you right now, but if I did, I'd probably kill you." He said, "You have two choices. You either get out or you get an abortion."
You would think you would know better, but once you're 15 and you're sexually active, and this is what you think is comfort and safe, and it just is what you've done, this is what you do. And I went to my mom and got a response that we would take care of everything, and her interpretation of that was taking me to a clinic, and that is where my first pregnancy was terminated.
At 16 years old, I lost my sexual purity. My boyfriend and I just went too far, and it happened. And it happened because I didn't know how to set boundaries. I didn't know how to say no.
I was known as the good girl in my town and in my high school, and I chose the baddest boy in town to have my first sexual relationship with.
Early in the relationship with my boyfriend, we became sexually active, and he was using drugs and I was using drugs, and before I knew it, I was pregnant. My mother asked me what I was going to do, and I told her that I had thought long and hard about it, and that I figured that it would be awfully hard to raise a child at my age, and I just wanted us to all make a clean break. And my mother turned to me and said, "I'm so proud of you." And I hadn't heard that from her in a long time, so I thought that what I was doing was the right thing.
Right after I turned 16, became pregnant at the age of 16. In a country like Germany, very progressive, abortion on demand, much like it is now in the United States. And the only solution presented at that time was abortion.
I was 22 years old, had a great paying job, and driving a great little sports car, living a very carefree lifestyle. And then I got pregnant.
At the age of 24, I got pregnant. My boyfriend said, "You're not having it, are you?" And I remember that sinking feeling inside, wishing that he'd said something else. But the words that came from me were, "Well, of course not." All my friends told me I needed to have an abortion. Here I am, a single parent of one child. How was I going to feed another one?
I was a cheerleader, I was popular, and I had my life in front of me. I thought that a baby would mess up my life and he would marry me with a child. I scheduled for an abortion the next day.
1%. That's the research, the statistics I got when I found out how many people actually got pregnant the very first time they had sex. It's like 1%. I fall into that 1%. Trust me, I didn't plan it. I was 18, living on Catalina, having a great time, and the very first time I had sex, I got pregnant.
I started thinking, you're crazy. What are you doing? You have no support system. And so just as easily as I decided that I was going to have this baby, I decided not to.
At 19, I had a boyfriend, and I found myself pregnant. I wanted to have the baby, but my boyfriend didn't want me to.